Hello, this is Peter Davis, and you're listening to Gallifrey Public Radio.
This is Gallifrey Public Radio, dedicated to positive enjoyment of Doctor Who. We travel through classic and new episodes, explore the extended universe, and play a few games from time to time. We do discuss news, content that has been officially released, and the occasional interesting rumor, but we'll warn you before anything considered spoilers comes up.
Welcome to episode 520 of Gallifrey Public Radio. I'm Julie.
I'm Kier.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Jay. This time we're covering the B-side to the Season 1 opening pair of stories, The Devil's Chord.
Smoke! I thought I got rid of that in the 50s.
We had really bad smoke in December 62, but this, it's more like a darkening. The world is darkening. I live over there.
You do what?
I live over there.
What do you mean?
Shoreditch. I'm there right now.
Okay, you're gonna have to start again.
In the past, right now, I live in a place called Totter's Lane. 1963, I parked the TARDIS in a junkyard, and I lived there with my granddaughter, Susan.
Oh.
Okay?
You're what?
My granddaughter.
Susan.
We could go and have a look, but you know, timelines.
Well, you've got children.
I did have, I will have. Time laws get a bit complicated.
Yeah, but you've got a granddaughter. Like now, like today, back in our time, my time. Ah, where is she?
I don't know.
In this episode, Doctor and Ruby meet the Beatles and discover the all-powerful Maestro is changing history. London becomes a battleground with the future of humanity at stake.
Yeah. Future of humanity at stake.
I guess
that's never happened before.
Yeah. So in our last discussion, I said I thought every episode this season was going to be based on a movie. This one is Yesterday, which is the movie where the Beatles disappear from history.
This would be what Yesterday would be like if you couldn't get the rights to using the Beatles songs.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah.
I'll admit, I had really high hopes that the Beatles were going to be a more intrinsic part of the story. Because we've been waiting for one of these things. You're like, 63 for crying out loud. Show came out in 63, and the Beatles, hit it big in 63. This was meant to happen. So yes, I did expect them to be more of the all right, let's all get inside this TARDIS here and do the whole bit. But as soon as I knew that Jinx Monsoon was going to be our adversary, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that even the Fab Four are going to be able to hold scenery while she's just devouring like a wood chipper.
It was such a powerful performance that even when they were silenced, Jinx was captivating.
Yeah. But I think it's a fun nod to that period and what I believe probably fans of early Doctor Who would say is a band that they grew up with as well. So a show and a band that you grew up with. So having it be there, it being the solution is really a fun way to handle it and give a nod to everything that you love. So why wouldn't you write it if you're not going to, like you said, kind of pay for the rights for all of that and make them the central part? Because, and we talked about it a little bit in our musical prelude episode, that could you have something where the Doctor goes and helps some musicians solve where the music has gone or what happened to them? This is that, but in a different way, because it is all about overall music being gone. And so seeing who the Beatles are when they know somewhere deep inside that they're supposed to do music, but they just can't connect it to the real world. And what does that mean? And so it is a problem that is brought on by being in this world where a character like Maestro can be music personified and take that from everything. And the Doctor is having to look at them and go, what is wrong? How did this happen? When did it happen? what can I do to fix it? And so it's not necessarily fixing them from a literal in history perspective, but it's a new universe or storyline that obviously, because it's what the whole episode is about, but it's where it's a rewritten history because something else changed. And so I know one of the things that was really interesting for me, and I wonder if we'll continue to see it because now we've got multiple gods that we're playing against with the Doctor, but what changed? So with the Toymaker, something came out of that episode completely different. We've got Mavity now instead. So with this universe, what will be different now that Maestro has touched it and rewritten some of that?
I don't know if we're going to have something where there is a recognizable tweak in what we understand the world to be, like the Mavity change that nobody seems to notice. But I do think that the idea of expanding on the Toymaker as being this celestial entity that was the embodiment of the game, the challenge, the literal adversary. Is it if it's one person versus another, or one person versus a set of rules, or what have you, and how that can be manipulated to a dangerous end. And now we've got something where music is being taken as it's not just a form of entertainment. It's not just a form of expression. It's things that are used as a creative outlet that, extrapolated in this story, can hold back the tides of war if allowed to, and things like that. That gives us a really fun set of chess pieces. I think, Julie, as you're kind of saying that, you could walk a whole the pantheon, right, as they're being described here. So that feels to me like I don't know if a single season, especially 8 episodes, is enough to be able to say, all right, I've unboxed this. I got the new villain pack. You want to see the new villain pack?
I think that the likelihood of this being something that changes the world fundamentally is possible, but that would be part of a multi-season arc that ends with the Doctor undoing everything that the Toymaker unleashed and resetting things to the status quo. If Russell wants to do a multi-season arc where he gets to the end and says, okay, clean slate, whoever's picking it up now, I've cleaned up after myself, go play in the toy box now. It's possible, but I think trying to keep track of, like, changing a word to Mavity is something you can drop in periodically and it's not a big deal. Robbing the world of music for 40 years and what kind of impact that would have on society as a whole, that would be something harder to keep track of and keep going, and it would just compound exponentially. So I don't know that we're going to see large-scale ramifications from this.
It could be the smaller thing. It could be something like, from now on, you've got the Doctor credited on an album sleeve or something like that. It's a little breadcrumb.
When was Happy Birthday written? Maybe like Happy Birthday no longer exists because it was in that window of
I feel like it was in 63.
No. It's public domain.
But if it was between 29 and 63 is what I'm saying.
So, no, Russell just wants to use music from the 80s, and he's like, okay, if we're like 40 years from that, if we rob the world of music for 40 years, I can use music from the 80s, and it fits thematic. I love how much music was integral throughout this. Like, from the intro, you knew that, like, it was going to be the central focus. Mm-hmm. The cold open with, the Maestro first appearing to actively playing the theme and then leading into the title. It was perfect. And then the return of the giggle when the Maestro returned again.
Oof.
That was so perfect, because anyone who watched the Celestial Toymaker episode instantly recognized it. and knew from that moment, just like the Doctor did, that there was a threat. Without a word being spoken, this was a threat. It was something incredibly dangerous and needed to be handled. Like, you know, it needed an immense amount of focus. So there was no joking around. There was no trying to talk your way out of it. Just those few notes, and instantly everything changed. You knew where you were going, and that was it.
It was our next set of the sound of the drums.
I loved the music kicking off from the character in a scene, and I wonder if did it feel like it was enough for the fourth wall breaks that we got at that moment and later on towards the end, and then literally a dance through the halls with the rain and the water and the umbrellas scene. Do we like it? Did they earn it? The setup and the finish?
Because of the insanity level of Maestro, that's a tier that gets approached or attempted often within Doctor Who, in other properties, very rarely lands as well as it's intended. But when it is that balance of completely off your rocker, dangerous to everyone and everything, and is reveling in the fact that they know that they are that much chaos personified, that you've got the right to establish that for that character in the episode to have that fourth wall moment, but then your resolution, if done well, then means that the Doctor is still within that pocket of where, oh, there is somebody over there. All right. And I fixed it. So I get to drop you a wink because that's where we are now. Right now. And only right now. So.
Okay. I accept that. I like it.
The only thing out of that felt, I even took the musical number at the end and said, okay, that's, it's a celebration of the fact that, hey, hot damn, everybody, we took this show back to 1963 and we're going to freaking dance about it. And that was fine. I'm totally great with that. The only thing I didn't quite get was the scene from Big playing the piano in the middle of Abbey Road. That I looked at that one and I'm like, it's cute, but what does that mean? What is that saying? How does that fit in?
Also, did we need that after, unless it does end up meaning something, did we need that after we just had the big dance number? Did we also need that?
The thing that I have heard from a lot of people, at least stateside, is that if you watch this episode and as soon as the Doctor winks at the camera, turn it off, this is a fantastic episode. But then if you add on that extra little bit to it, it drops it dramatically down the rankings. Like I've yet to
Would it
find...
have been better if they'd used a Beatles song at the end instead?
It would have made more sense. But then I've also heard like there was a podcast from the like a BBC podcast, and they were talking about how amazing it is. So maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it makes a lot more sense in the UK and it fits better to them. I haven't actually spoken to anyone from the UK about it, so I don't know. But at least as far as I'm sitting here, like, it just turning it off as soon as the Doctor winked. Perfect episode. Loved it.
It is also reminiscent of movies of the time where you had go-go parties and dance numbers in your feature films. So
what's that one movie with Kevin Bacon and they dance and like at the end it's just them? Footloose. You take away music and dancing and then you give it back to the people. You have to do that at the end so they all get to do the moves they didn't realize they still had in their bodies for the whole time.
Okay, so which movie is this actually? Is it Footloose or is it Yesterday?
We're mushing two together because that little bit at the end is Footloose.
Well, it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
It's Yesterfoot.
Jay. I don't know if you've seen the show before.
My takeaway for the piano of the crosswalk at the end was that because Maestro had expelled all her energy out, that there is going to be an echoing effect of things having their own song for either just that little bit at the end or potentially maybe in the future, some of the other stuff where she was able to play the song of the TARDIS. This is the song of those steps because they have so much power. They're the album cover. There's that. So they were able to walk on them and release some of that music because it had been so pent up for all those years.
Interesting. I noticed something that I don't. Speaking of scenes that were kind of questioning their significance, there's an aspect of the scenes from about the 2/3 point through the episode, follows through to the end. The jukebox is gone from the TARDIS interior at some point. And I thought it was just camera angles, that it just wasn't there. But it is such a chromatically dissonant object in that stark setting that it's really kind of hard to miss. And as the Doctor and Ruby are having their conversation and the camera's cutting from various different perspectives, it's not there. And you don't see it again for the rest of the episode. I don't know what that means.
Do we go back into the TARDIS again at the end? I don't remember.
They walk into it, but you don't follow them.
You don't see the interior, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it closes with a...
Yeah, the door just gives like a little extra beat.
Yeah, it does a little orchestra sting, a little bump.
Right.
Because it was, prior to coming into viewing the episode, I was waiting to see something, or even as the episode began and not really knowing what Maestro's whole deal was going to be. I thought, I was buying into are they just leaving the door open for the obvious Maestro-Master thing? And the jukebox was the Master's TARDIS hiding in there? And whoa,
It was in my sleeve the whole time.
Right. Could have been wild. But no, I don't know what to make of it now. It's cool.
Yeah, so either it'll be back next episode and they just, like you're saying, camera angles, or it's now gone and something has happened to that.
Right.
And the fact that Ruby called it out in the last episode means like they're aware that it's there. They're going to notice if it's missing. So if it's not there, I expect them to say something about it. And if it is there, I would bank on like there was probably a line in the script about like, look, even the jukebox is gone because all the music is raw, and they just ended up cutting it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
This also was the first episode where it pans from the jukebox and allows it to be playing something, which was kind of neat to see.
California Soul, too.
I was waiting. I was like, yes. Oh, the jukebox. Oh, nope. Nothing to do with the story specifically.
No, just a good montage song to do a costume change. I got lots of wigs. You want wigs? I got loads of wigs.
Yeah, I got lots of wigs.
I thought that was great, too, where you had the Maestro playing on the piano leading into the theme. And then as it comes out, the feel of it changes to where it seems like it's coming from the jukebox.
That's what I was talking about. That's the moment. That's the first thing the jukebox plays.
Oh, right. Oh, true. Sorry.
End of the opening sequence. And it pans up, it crosses, and it kind of changes the tone. So it sounds like it's coming from a distance. Mm-hmm. It pans across Ruby, and then she turns and says, hey, I want to go visit the Beatles.
So now you got to wonder what that 45 is labeled as in the jukebox window. My theme.
Bringing up Ruby wanting to go see the Beatles at the beginning, we find out when they're going back to the future to see her mom again that it's June now. So we have 6 months that happen between the end of the last episode and the start of this one. And I kind of feel like they should have in some way informed the audience at the beginning that, like, she's now been traveling for a while with the Doctor. Like, we used to get that sometimes at the beginning, like, oh, an adventure just happened that you missed. That was crazy and wild, wasn't it, Doctor?
Yeah, go check the comics.
And then we go to the next thing. Yeah. But
the fact that
it's almost glossed over that time has passed.
Yeah, we ended the last episode. They got back to Ruby's flat on Christmas or shortly thereafter. And then, it's like, what time is it for you now? June 2024? Like, wait, what? How does that? I don't know. But yeah.
You know why? Because they're going to end something with getting back there, and it's going to, just like the holiday special was on that day. I wonder if they're going to wrap it on whatever the last 2 episodes are. We're saying, like, this is the time that we've come back to, and something has changed or different, or this is when her stories are revealed.
Or if Russell's really sticking close to the, I'm doing all the hits from Rose's time period. They just ended up going back 6 months, and, you know, Carla thought that, you know, she had been kidnapped by the doctor, just like Rose had
Jackie
been.
did. Yeah.
No, this doctor is being especially careful about that, having her call right away.
Mm-hmm. Come
Yeah.
busting into
Well,
the
and
kitchen.
it did.
Rose called right away.
She did say something to the effect of, "Well, it's hard to keep track now. Like, I go out with you and then we come back, and it's clearly up to this point been the doctor taking Ruby places, because it's 6 months, and now she's getting the question of, okay, your turn. Where's the one place you most want to go?" So I think that is a little implied in some of the gaps that we don't have to see it. We just need to know that they've been traveling together. Now she goes, okay, my turn to pick. Here's where I would go. And he says that's amazing, because most people pick, you know, these sad, great, epic, whatever other things. And he's like, no, yeah, let's go see this. And sets the TARDIS up and then goes, all right, where do you want to go? Here, we're there already.
Do you notice that this doctor travels much faster? Like,
yes.
There's no time have saying, all right, well, we got about 7 minutes before we land. So if you want to go, you know, get some cookies or check your emails, that's fine.
He turned off the parking brake.
And that's where I think we've earned a little bit of that exposition happened in the previous episode. And now we can just jump to, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been honest about, sometimes I don't know if there's dinosaurs outside. But in this case, he's like, yeah, we're here. I know exactly where we've landed, which we don't always get. Sometimes the doctor makes a plan and then looks out the window and goes, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not where we thought we were going to be.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get any sort of signs from 15 of the I have no idea what I'm doing sort of shtick.
He's a very calm, collected doctor, which is, I don't know if that's anything we've ever seen, where he's just cool, he knows what he's doing, he's not cocky about it, he just is calmly competent.
I think that competence or that slightly different read on things, reaction to things, is because, as we've been saying, the vibe that we're getting from him is that he listens more than he pontificates. So if he's taking things in, he's more dialed into what's going on, so he's going to be less prone to making those gaffes, because as the empath, he's more aware of the surroundings, it's not just busting in and not realizing that you knock 3 people over on your way through the door. It's just that's not the way that they focus upon things.
He has more of a contemplative reaction to stuff, where he's, like you're saying, taking it in and then thinking it through and not necessarily having to say everything that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's more of just, I think you could see that in when Maestro, it chases them. So Ruby and the doctor are hiding, and he's thinking about, well, why did I run? I tried the one thing I had. I have the one shot. I have the one, I think it was one trick. You get one trick once.
Yeah.
After that, that's it. Mm-hmm. And that's scary. The doctor knows when he's outmatched in this instance. And the last time this happened, it was an unthinkable, we all still don't know if bi-generation was a thing that's going to happen again, or what the results of that are. Mm-hmm. And so this doctor
seems unlikely, because he said it tore him in half and he wouldn't survive it again.
Yeah. That's a very different way of framing what happened. I mean, when we watched that in the specials, we're like, oh, it's bi-generation. It's this amazing thing. Look at this. We thought it's legendary that it actually happened. And now it's like, no, it tore my soul in half and I can't survive it again. It's a much different spin on that.
That's 6 months of looking back and going, oh, crap. This is, now I understand fully what has happened, which is where I think maybe some of the time has gone, is thinking through, researching, traveling.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
This doctor's also, I think I said it for the last episode as well, taking more time to share and bounce ideas off of Ruby. So sharing, hey, I'm right over there, Totter's Lane, Susan and I were there potentially. Maybe, I'm not sure what happened. Why don't you go find her kind of thing, which we have scenes with 14 and Donna still not talking about it after everything has happened. And now this doctor's just like, yeah, I got grandchildren. Yeah, I'm right over there. We could go check it out. Might get weird. Probably shouldn't do that. Which is very different from previous iterations.
Oh, and by the way, my name was boop, edit. Yeah. All those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on two levels. It's that willingness to be able to kind of share the past thing, but it's also to your previous point about when they were in hiding down below from Maestro and things, the inner monologue, being able to share out loud. All right, this is what I'm trying to think through in my head. I'm concerned about this. I don't understand this. I need to find this out. Why am I scared? Why am I running? That's sharing. That is always something that we would typically kind of expect the companion to be the one to say, Doctor, I don't understand. Why is this happening? Why is this person so terrifying? Why are we running from those people? And the doctor, well, let me tell you, blah, 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 blah. Let me give you a big old lore dump.
Or saying like, Doctor, you look scared. And then the doctor going, oh, haha, you're right. I'm scared. I'm not that scared because science, gobbledygook. And this doctor's very much like, Ruby even says, you don't run. You've said that before. You're not scared. You don't run. And he just runs. It's like, no, this is bigger than me. I can't fight this. We run. Yeah. We run to fight another day or try another way. And that's a very different reaction.
Yeah. Through it all, with all of these exchanges, with all of these opportunities that this doctor is being given to sort of share things or be involved in aspects of conversations that were normally left to the companion and supporting cast. This is a much more involved character to those scenes that are usually the scenes of emotion and concern or elation or what have you. And I think that plays so well to Gatwa's skills, because as I think when we were talking back around the casting announcement, and I was really excited because I love his expressiveness and the way that he pulls himself into scenes with his whole self. It is not just, oh, that's great delivery on that line, or, oh, he mugged that one so perfectly. It's his, what is it? Jay, help me from D&D. Is it mood mark paint? Mood mark paint is the stuff that you can use that tells other people your emotional state and feelings without a word having to be said, right? It basically, it puts everything about what is on your mind and in your heart out there to be seen. And that I kind of feel like Shooty has been dunked in this stuff, because it is he acts with his whole self. And it's great that this doctor iteration and the persona that they're creating for him allows him to do that and just swing and swing and swing at the big emotional beats, at the humor, at the, oh my gosh, it's an adventure, let's go. Oh, we are in so much danger right now. And just kind of just everything is at 110%.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun to watch him just be on screen. Even especially in the quiet moments when he doesn't have a line to say, just watching his reactions. And Millie Gibson is great about that as well, to admittedly a lesser degree, because I mean, really, but both of them, it's just, if you watch them while the other one is talking or when nothing is being said, they're both 100% in it, and just, it conveys so much without having to say anything. And it's fantastic.
Some of my favorite scenes from Sex Education were Eric coming through from the background, or the first time I saw him on screen and he rides the bike up and just does this facial expression, and it translates so well into what he's doing here, last episode and this one, where got excited with something with the babies and just like jumps, and probably something that it said like show emotion, do something like this, and he's like, I got this move and I'm gonna do it, and that's where we're at. And you get that so much in this, because at the beginning when they're pushing into the rooms and like we all are expecting the same thing, like, let's go hear some Beatles, and then it's like, I got a dog, you got a dog, and everyone, us included, we're like, what? What is this? And yeah, just seeing that emotion just drain, and you feel like you're in that room. And then the fear that comes through, the hopefulness when that light is on and the sound is just gone, and then all of a sudden the sound comes back. Like, each of those moments shows a different heightened level of energy from what we're getting from the Doctor, that I don't think we've seen that much fluctuation, ups and downs, emotion, crying, and then joy at the end with the resolution in a while. Which, I'm not saying Jodie didn't do it, but I feel like there were fewer peaks and troughs with her. You couldn't go up and down as much and show it in a way that we're seeing now.
Yeah, there were only a handful of Jodie stories, I think, that were given the opportunity to give you all of those in a single story.
Yeah, it was right. It would kind of build or...
Yeah. The New Year's special with the time loop with the Daleks was a great one for that, because you did have, all right, you've got a chase, you've got some great humor, you had the ramping pace of the whole thing. And then romance or hidden romance or things like that. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's it. It's been quite a bit.
So one of the things that I am wondering, and I think it was mentioned a couple of times, is that everything for Ruby comes back to Christmas, her birth, even her day, like the song I think that the Doctor heard her play was on the 23rd. And then that her hidden song comes out with the joyful Yuletide song. So the oldest one was there at her birth, I think was one of the quotes, or could he have been there, or I don't remember what the pronoun was, but like, there's no way he was there. And then we jump to, okay, epic rap battle of history between two instruments that was sort of like Devil Goes Down to Georgia.
I was waiting for Devil Goes.
I wanted it so much.
I didn't even want the whole thing. I just wanted like a couple of notes of that.
Just
chicken and bread pan picking at dough. Like just that minute. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was amazing. But we get cut off from that and almost forget, because from that moment of Ruby's hidden song and the snow falls in this building as well, which happened in the last episode, happens now. Obviously, we kind of talked about it in the last episode where we're going to get her wrap up at the end of the series. But do we feel like, I mean, these are not subtle instances of saying, yes, there's something there, but do we feel like we're going to keep getting little hints, or is it the same hint in different iterations, different clues, same ending?
I think this is going to be a classic RTD season arc where we're getting like little breadcrumbs every single episode. Like, we're going to get little bits of something every episode.
So
because that's kind of the way he always did his season arcs. Yeah.
Okay.
And we might not see how all those pieces fit together until the end, but we're going to get a piece each time.
Right. So as May, as we're recording, if you think you're sick of Christmas songs now, wait until like
they're subtle.
5, 6,
it wasn't super out there.
We're
it was
still
just
talking about Christmas.
Yeah.
So a thing that you kind of mentioned here was, additional villains possibly coming along as part of the Toymakers Legions. It's very much been set up that could happen. But I'm also thinking, the Doctor putting the salt at the end of the universe made it possible for different superstitions to now be true. So, like the Devil's Chord, because that happened at the end of the universe, the Devil's Chord now releases Maestro. Are there other superstitions that could possibly do things in the universe now? And I'm starting to try and think of, like, what are some Christmas traditions that
Krampus.
Maybe we don't think of that often. There we go.
We're going full
Did you
Krampus.
say Krampus?
But yeah, some Christmas traditions that could lead to things happening in the universe and being different and tying those to Ruby. And I haven't had enough time in the last 2 days to research Christmas traditions, but maybe by next week I'll have some wacky conspiracy theories to throw next to Kier's quarter.
I want to see how they tie in the, I know I'm going to mispronounce this, but the Mary Lwyd with the horse skull and the rhyming battle. Otherwise I get to come in and raid your pantry. Look it up. It is fascinating.
Okay.
Fair enough. I'm thinking more American gods, like who else will become actual real and not just be, I don't know, like an actual physical manifestation of either seasons or gods or things that are superstitious that now we have to deal with them in a physical world. Like we can meet the Tooth Fairy.
I saw it going one of two directions. You could either start getting into cryptids, and then you're full supernatural at that point, or you've got the possibility of running with the idea of Toymaker is the manifestation of the game and the competition, Maestro the manifestation of music and musical expression. You could have another one that had to do with the idea of mathematics being the science of the universe, that kind of thing. So then you can go with something that has to do with computation or mathematics. Or
and then that one could also lend itself to like repairing the damage caused by the flux.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
or you
fixing
could have,
Mavity.
solving a math equation.
Yeah, solving Mavity. Yep.
Fix Mavity, because Mavity was in the last on that screen. Was that this one or last?
That was
last.
That was the Space Babies, yeah. They were saying when they were looking at the Pacifica del Rio and looking at the statistics of the planet, Mavity,
right, and it said
measurement was on screen.
Mavity measurement, yeah. CJ, no question, my quarter.
Yeah. Once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence, 3 times or more is a pattern.
It's just a thing. Whether it's an actual has to be solved or it's just like, this is what Doctor Who is now because it's funny. Mm-hmm. I do not know.
I'm waiting for somebody to say Mavity 30 years in the future on this show, and people are like, why do they call it that?
Yeah. What does that mean?
When they reboot it again on Peacock in 23 years.
All in all, though, I thoroughly enjoyed this story. Performances were peak all around. The premise itself, the challenge that it put forth to viewers to try and think about the repercussions of what was happening. You may not have been, like me, terribly pleased at the utilization of John, Paul, George, and Ringo, but I was not disappointed at the fact that they were there. At least we can now say that they've closed that loop, and it was a nice moment that they were involved, or at least John and Paul were involved with finding the solution chord. I thought it was going to be a more elaborate chord. Like that was just a standard major, like, okay. But,
well, I mean, the devil's chord being the lost chord was not really just a minor chord. Like it wasn't a crazy thing.
More than just a straight minor chord. In fact, we should probably talk to Jess about,
I was going to suggest that potentially we have a wrap up because this is not the musical episode, if I'm remembering right?
No, this is, well, you may have in your Regency episode, you might have something else that involves a little more song and dance, but this was the one that was being touted in the trailer.
Okay. I thought that there was meant to be like an actual musical episode.
If I were to just watch this, I would not call it a musical episode.
I would not call this a musical episode. It had music in it. Mm-hmm. Music was a theme throughout. Jinx Monsoon was fantastic in bringing music as her expression, but this was not a musical.
They did a cast-wide song and dance number at the end where even Murray Gold was on screen.
I understand that.
It's got to carry through the whole story.
Correct. That's not a musical episode. That is a song with a musical number at the end, or an episode with a musical number at the end.
This is the difference between somebody who likes musicals and marketing.
Well, mm-hmm. So if this is the entirety of the, quote, musical episode, then I think it was handled well. I think Jinx was absolutely 100% the right person to be in it. But yeah, I thought that there was meant to be like song and dance musical numbers in the episode, not at the end.
It kind of reminds me of the Supernatural musical then, where the episode wasn't a musical. There was a musical happening in the episode that you got at the very end. But the show itself was not a musical. Like, this was not a musical. It had a song and dance number at the end.
Yeah. They weren't going full Buffy once more with feeling. Yeah.
Right. And you get what you get at the end, to Jay's point from the very beginning, is that you don't need it for the story. In a musical, the music is the story. So that is where I would say it is not a musical.
True.
I have to say that I'm very pleased that we got this episode as part of the 2 that they dropped. Ending on this one really kind of helped to be like, okay, now who is back? We've got some great stuff to look forward to. It was the high point that I wanted coming out of this weekend.
Right. So I had said in the last discussion that we did that you're not going to look back at Space Babies and say, that was my favorite episode of the season. People might look back at this one and be like, that was my favorite episode of the season, because Jinx Monsoon crushed it so hard.
It's true.
The scenes also where it was her on the piano and then Doctor and Ruby facing her reminded me very much of them being drawn into that scene with the toy maker. So if we get additional Celestials, I'm hoping that carries through as their scenes, the scene work that they get to do, like fade to black, have them be focused. And I want to put them all together at the end and see if there's some other thread or something like that goes through, because I think that would be also very fun.
I'm now thinking that a cool thing that they could do, which we've seen happen in some other shows before, is if we get a few of these Celestials set up as like big bads that exist in the universe, we get an episode down the road where now that we've got a few of them, like one of them is teaming up with the Doctor because they hate the Doctor less than they hate this other Celestial. And we can start having some really fun dynamics with things like that happening.
Almost like that episode where they had to send the Master in to save the Doctor. I think it was the 5 Doctors, because they don't like the Master, but also the Master's the one who can make a difference in potentially bringing back all the different iterations of the Doctor. So that is not unheard of in this, and it's like the Loki son who doesn't really get along with Daddy more than everybody else.
I'm in Jay's camp entirely. This ended at a point where now I'm just fascinated to know what they can do at this point, because they've between the fourth wall breaks, between the song and dance numbers, between the possibilities of being able to pursue threads that have been left there into the Doctor's past, into Ruby's past, into where those two things actually may walk together. You could do virtually anything with the show right now, and it would fit, because we're 2, technically 3 episodes into this season, and they've done such disparate, wild stuff that nothing is off the table at the moment. And you wouldn't, they could pursue any route, and or they could do a film noir thing, or they could do a 30-minute silent film sequence, and you'd look at it and go,
now I want both of those.
Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because you could.
Yeah. Adding on to that, I think the CGI that we got in this episode with the music threading through, the highlighting of the notes in the battle, that it was kind of portrait mode, like spread out, and brought the motion in while they're just playing these instruments. I wonder if that's some of the Disney money, because of Disney's investment in music and having that be something that's important. And I also am really glad that both of these were dropped together, because for anyone who was wondering what the heck was Space Babies, you got both of these at the same time. So in my mind, it's while these are separate stories, I take them as this is my first viewing, because I was able to watch them back to back and really get a full movie length. I got 2 hours of content of something that felt close enough to there was a commercial break and now we're going into something new and fun.
I don't know. I think we're off to a great start. I can't wait to see where the season goes from here. Especially with the trailer for the next time trailer, a Stephen Moffat pinned episode that's supposed to be a thriller. Like I'm already all in. Let's go.
Right.
It's been so long since we got to anticipate an episode coming next week, right after having watched an episode, that it's like,
It feels too
I
rushed.
feel so spoiled, but I also want it right now, but I also am excited that I get to wait for it. And that I get to do that again next week. So it's like it's like proper airing of a Doctor Who season. It's so weird.
And I did watch the next on, and I don't feel spoiled by anything. There's not enough to go on. So
That is true.
I am
That was a very short.
super
I turned it off.
appreciative
Very
of that.
concise.
You did. I watched it. Haley,
did.
what have we done to our lives where we have swapped places? I think it was enough to just say you get something in a week, but also it was very much like, what is what? I just want it now, because it is so small, just the tiniest tidbit of I have no idea what to expect.
Well, if you feel like you're looking forward to the fact that you don't have to wait long for things, the conversation that we've been having about the boss, the one I answer to, the one who waits, has obviously it's got all sorts of theories abounding, and we've toyed with a few just to kind of see where it goes and whether things as episodes air, whether those theories get held or get dismissed. And now it seems like, of all the strange things, it's tied to a lunch lady and Susan. So if you have noticed, there is a supporting actor that has now appeared in a number of our episodes, a number of Davies's most recent episodes. Actor's name actually is Susan Twist. There's always a
fake.
twist at the end. And she has been playing these little tiny bit roles, but she's been given these very oddball lines to deliver in each one. And she keeps appearing in each subsequent story. And people are starting to wonder now what the significance is. And it may just be very coincidental or just this nice little poetic justice thing, the fact that her name is Susan Twist.
She's
But-
somebody's grandma who's just been on set, and she's like, I just really want to be in Doctor Who.
Well-established actor, she does great body, extensive body work and stuff. But even down to the point where I think there was like an interview with Russell in one of the green rooms, and there was a picture of the people that were interviewing him as he's sitting there, and on the wall among various, like, oh, here's the logo over as it's changed over time. And then he had a framed picture that was a false magazine front for an Icon magazine that had her on the front of it, credited for things that she has not done, hanging in this room. And the thought is that her character has more significance. And the fact that they've been now name-checking Susan Foreman so much, and we're going to be pursuing family storylines and family origin storylines, that the one who waits is the one who has been waiting since she was shut out of the TARDIS nearly 60 years ago. And that would be freaking amazing.
So not so much news, more just like a theory put out by fans that we are hoping to see come to fruition in some way or another.
A little bit of news paired with wild fan speculation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. News about sussing out the recurrent actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leading to great theories.
Right.
Okay. Well, then let me build on that. I was going to say it's Susan, and also the neighbor is like just another regeneration of the same woman and is also Susan.
Something. Yeah, I don't know when this
Flood.
fills in on this.
You mean Flood?
Yeah. Oh, I still like her being River Song, though, because you've got the water tie-in with the name Flood.
Yeah.
So maybe it's both of them.
I don't remember. I recognized the face, but I was like, was that flood from next door? And Kier said no. But I went back and I checked her line. And in this episode, her line was about Margaret Atwood and something about the highway robber. So I wonder if there's anything there of like the stolen TARDIS or something.
Right.
I don't know, like literary characters that are still, that carry through, that are referenced, or if it was just a line to say, or establish something that says, hey, literary things are still here. It's just the music that's gone. That's what I wasn't sure of, how that was going to tie into this story, because that would.
When she appeared in Church on Ruby Road, she was the one that came up and asked Ruby to play some obscure Christmas carol from the 17th century thing. And then when she was in, what else was she in?
She was in Wild Blue Yonder as a maid.
Yeah, she was. Oh, well, she was hand servant to Isaac Newton.
Oh, like she came to tell him, like,
yeah, she was the one that said you should go out and reflect in the orchard.
She caused Mavity, is what you're telling me.
This is what I'm saying, effectively. Yeah. So it's wild. It's an interesting. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely something to pay attention to moving forward. But at this point, it could be any number of things. The fact that she's there is the only news story.
This is Russell's blue herring of great, or red herring. Why did I say blue?
Blue herring. Wow.
I'm making up stuff
far
now.
out.
It's so far out. It's not even red. It is blue. It's been. I was just about to say
effect.
that. Yeah, it's moving towards you or away, whichever one is that.
How does light work?
But yeah, that would be really funny if it's literally nothing, just like the sweet old lady that we thought we needed to give you all something to ponder, because that's way more fun.
That is straight up RTD. Like, that is something that
I would love if they never explained it. If this went on for seasons of her showing up and no explanation is ever given.
Yeah, and anytime she shows up at other events and she's just like, what do you mean? This is just what I do. I'm here.
She's at a Doctor Who convention, thousands of headshots from all of her episodes, still no explanation.
No explanation, and she every time is just like, no, they just wanted me to, I had one line. I just like it.
Mm-hmm.
I get paid the day rate every single week.
And I get a lunch for the one episode I'm shooting.
Have you been to the commissary? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
This has been episode 520 of Gallifrey Public Radio. Until next time, this is Jay saying, is it time for my quote? I thought the outro music was non-diegetic.
And this is Kier saying, my dog, my dog, my dog, my dog, my dog, my dog.
This is Julie saying, one trick, once. That's all you get with the gods.
And this is Haley saying, I've got wigs galore.
We'll see you next time.
And we'll see.
Tag, you're it.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Gallifrey Public Radio. As a fan-run podcast, your thoughts and opinions are part of the conversation. Leave us a comment or review on your preferred podcast app, find us on social media to message us, or visit GallifreyPublicRadio.com for email and voicemail contacts. We'll see you out there in time and space.
Hi, this is Jacob. This recording of Gallifrey Public Radio is copyrighted in 2024. GPR is a fan-owned, fan-produced podcast. We'll see you next time!